Only about 18% of individual Americans make over $100,000 a year. The moment I was able to hit that milestone in my life, it was a great moment of pride and celebration. But let's find out how I did it, and more importantly, how you can get there yourself. Hey everybody, name's Lindeezy. Welcome to the channel where we talk about inspiration, motivation, and achievement. And today we're going to take a journey down memory lane, and we're going to talk about 3 things that I use to obtain a salary of over $100,000 a year. With each tip, I'll talk about what I did, and then we'll transfer to what you can do and how you can apply that to your life. And a little bit about me before we get started, but if you do want to skip ahead, I have chapters in the description. The reason this is so important to me is simply because parents were 100% check to check. It was certain times whenever our lights and power would go out, and I just knew I wanted to make sure that never was a reality for me and my family. And my parents did put me in every single position to be able to succeed. Love my parents to death. They did their best. They're amazing. I look up to them every single day. I just knew I wanted something different. And in one generation, thank God, I've been able to turn around so much. So just wanted to give a bit of background before I kick it off. This isn't something I'm talking about like, oh, let's just make a bunch of money, but there's a reason. And my reason why was I just wanted to start generational wealth for my family. And it starts with you. You can be the person to change around the entire trajectory of your family's financial well-being. That's my why. What is your why? And it's such a beautiful comeback story because back in the day, we had our lights go out, and now it's like if my parents have any issues with anything or need help with anything, I'm always there to help and support them. And I'm just really appreciative that through learning these things that I'm going to talk about today, I was able to switch that around in one generation. But on top of being able to give generously, now you have insight. Now you can show people in your family how to make a good amount of money and be able to not have to do things like take out predatory loans. So doing this for your family will be a huge value add, and it will change your family for generations to come. You can be the one to start that. As always, if I provide any value today, do me a favor and like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate your support. And without further ado, let's hop into it. The first and most important point when trying to make $100,000 a year, whether that is a salary or actually from a business that you start, is you have to add value. Quite simply put, people who earn $100,000 a year are adding value, whether it be in a specific industry or a service that they offer. The market has deemed that people are willing to pay $100,000 for that service or product. You see, when I was younger and I was deciding what I wanted to be in college, I picked psychology. I love people. I love the human element. Something I'm super interested in is how we interact with each other and just the human thought processes. And so I combined my interests with how do I add value using psychology. I ended up picking industrial and organizational psychology. And to keep it short and simple, basically it's the study of the workplace. What makes people high performers? How do we hire? The end-to-end process of hiring somebody to retiring from a psychological process. And the specific value I wanted to add was how do we have people enjoy what they do for a living? I think there's always so many different memes and different jokes about people hating Mondays. And yeah, Mondays are tough, but not as tough if you actually like what you do for a living. So my goal was to go to school, get a degree in INO psychology to be able to consult companies on how to make their workplaces better. That was the value I wanted to add. What would be the value that you add? And the value you add are either going to be directly to your customers if you're an entrepreneur, or the value that you add to a company. The second point is going to be industry. To be straight up, there are just certain industries that pay more than others. For instance, being a lawyer is a lot more lucrative than being a teacher. So I just started looking at what INO psychologists make. And I think that's really important is to do research. I think that there's a huge misconception that you get to kind of do whatever you want and you're going to make a lot of money. And sometimes that is the case. But we have to look at what the market offers for a specific industry. Me being a psychologist, there aren't a huge amount of options as far as salaries that pay over $100,000 a year. So I had to be very specific and do a lot of research on the occupations I wanted. Again, I chose INO psychology. It aligned with my values and things that I wanted to offer. But then it also aligns in the fact that I wanted to make a salary over $100,000 a year. So both of those things have to kind of match in order for everything to work out. Making $100,000 isn't the end all be all. If you are happy about something and you want to add value to a specific industry, but maybe that industry doesn't pay over $100,000 a year, I implore you to still do that. At the end of the day, if you wake up in the morning and you're doing something you really enjoy, that's worth way more than $100,000 a year. The last tip I want to emphasize is just having patience. When I first graduated from grad school with my degree, and keep in mind, I looked at Google, I saw how much I was supposed to make, and my first offer was only about $60,000 a year. Now at the time for me just graduating, I'll take that. That's a good amount of money, but it was nowhere near $100,000 a year. It wasn't until maybe about 3 years into my career that I actually ended up getting up to $100,000 a year. To be honest, it takes time. You have to grow skills because at the end of the day, when you first join a company, you really don't know much. Degrees are amazing, but what really makes you strive and be a really great person in the workplace is learning how to work, how to be efficient, how to convey things to clients. All that comes into the mix, and you don't simply learn that within your first year. As I slowly started to develop a lot of those skills, being able to understand the software that I implement, being able to speak to clients about that software, going through a few iterations of tech implementation, then I was finally able to actually get that salary of over $100,000 a year. So if you're in a job right now and you're seeing folks above you that make the amount or the salary that you actually desire, learn from them, sit under them, and just soak in everything. Early on in your career, early on in business, you're really just learning the ropes. Now you get it. This week, I challenge you to reach out to somebody that you know via LinkedIn or just word of mouth, somebody that's basically in the industry that you're thinking about going into, and then ask them how they add value within their industry. The idea is to talk to somebody who is making six figures or maybe on the way to six figures and ask them in a roundabout way what they're doing to get to that level essentially. And what that'll do is that'll give you industry specific tips and advice possibly on how to grow up that ladder a little bit faster. You just have to innovate and grow. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. There are many ways up the mountain to making $100,000 a year, but these work for me, and I kind of feel very strongly about the fact that if you are gonna make $100,000 a year, all of these different points you have to address in some type of way. All right, that's the video for this week. I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor again, like, comment, subscribe if I've provided any value for you today. And with that, I'll see you next week. But until then, go ahead and check out this video about how I'm paying off $100,000 worth of student loan debt. Peace.